We took a Porsche 944 and are building it into a dedicated track drift carbon Ghia. I had an RB Swap 240SX back in the day that was built as a drift car, albeit a little sketchy. So this project is me chasing my dream of having a fully built drift car. So far, we've already started doing the custom wide body on the carbon Ghia body that we draped over the 944, but I really want to get this car running soon. And to do that, we have a lot of loose ends we need to button up with the engine so we can bolt it back into the car and hopefully get it running. So this is the Volkswagen 07K engine that we are building to put into the car. And by building, I mean we're turboing it. We're not gonna crack the actual engine case open, leaving the pistons and rods alone. This is a bit of a test run because, well, supposedly these engines can handle a decent amount of power without having to throw a lot of money at them. In a previous video, I made this turbo manifold for the turbo. I think it came out sick. It's not completely finished though. I gotta do some final welds in places I couldn't get to, like the back sides of the runners. So we gotta pull it off. We gotta finish welding it. I wanna paint it. We also have an entire table full of parts that need to go into the car, including a bunch of bolts that need installed because, well, we put this engine together as mock-up to bolt into the car and make sure things fit underneath the bodywork until we could afford to buy parts we needed. And we have the parts now, so we need to pull everything back off this engine, put it back on correctly, and seal like the valve cover and the oil pan and the oil pickup in the oil pan, etc., etc. Things that take a lot of time, but are very important. I don't want any oil leaks. That would be bad. And while we're at it, we're gonna paint some things. I might paint the engine block. I gotta paint this bracket right here. Blah, 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 blah. And lastly, I would also like to paint the engine bay because this should be the last time the engine gets installed until we have an issue. And I say until we have an issue because it's a track car, we're gonna have an issue. But the hope is for the engine to go in for the last time for some time now and not have to come back out. So we're gonna clean up the engine bay here. I'm gonna finish welding like these supports right here. We're gonna paint it. Then we'll plop the fully assembled engine into there. So first things first, let's disassemble this engine so we can finish the fight. You can't be mean to me this week because it's my birthday. This up. I got a welder up through here around the collector top, which I only have tacked in place. And I really want to weld the runners from the inside. I have the outsides mostly welded, but I'll get the best seal from the inside. So I'm gonna take the insides here, and then she should be ready to go. All right, let's go blast it and get it painted. This is a little sketchy. I have some tubing from the spring to that spring, and the weight of this exhaust is really making it bow. The lion does not concern himself with the rod that may impale his head.
So the exhaust manifold flange on our new manifold is much thicker than the original. There were only a couple of threads peeking through, so we need to replace the studs. These are too short. These, which fit an air-cooled 911, seem to be about perfect. So we're gonna replace the old ones with these new ones. But first we gotta get these out. And if you've ever removed a stud, you know that can be problematic. There's a number of ways you can get one of these studs out. A very common one is to double nut. So you put two nuts on the stud, tighten them against each other, and then you can turn this nut and back it out. Now, that does work. If it's stubborn though, a lot of times you mess up the threads. and so then you can't reuse a stud. Not a problem in this case, but I don't like it. Another tool that I've used many times has these little one-way roller clutches that will sit against the thread and it grabs as you twist, but that puts 3 flat spots on the studs, which again, if you're reusing, then you're running a die down over. It takes a ton of time. It's a big pain. So I've acquired a third solution, which works much better. So I've got 2 versions of a tool that do essentially the same thing. As you tighten this collet, these pieces squeeze into the threads. It grabs them, it doesn't deform them, and it almost always takes it out. No, that one doesn't really fit around there. And this is the one I started with, and the reason I bought it is because this one has a much tighter clearance. Clarence? Where's Clarence?
I miss Clarence.
Where's Clarence?
I wonder what he's up to right now. I hope he told his family about us.
Thread that on there, tighten the 2 together.
I like how last week we worked on your engine, and this week now we're working on my engine.
Yeah.
But mine's a lot less complex.
We're not
I'm actually cracking it open.
No. Stud removed. The threads are still perfect.
Wow.
I would show you how this works, except this is the wrong size and the right size is broken. They also tend to be a little fragile, especially in the hands of some people.
It wasn't me. This is the turbo bracket that holds the weight of our big old turbo. I'd like to paint this as well, so I'm gonna blast it in a blasting cabinet just to kind of clean it up. There we go.
So we got all the studs out, and while it's a little bit of a pain to remove the studs and put new ones in, the added bonus is it's much easier to clean up.
Much better. We'll come back to you later. So while the paint is drying on those parts, there's one other part I want to paint, and it's this bracket down here. It's the OEM, like aluminum cast piece that has all these rollers on it, the water pumps behind it. We had to modify this and cut it down to fit this intake manifold. So I'm gonna pull the intake manifold off. We're gonna pull this bracket off. I'm gonna clean up these burrs and make it look a bit nicer. Then we're gonna also paint this piece as well. I considered painting this intake manifold, but honestly, I kind of like the color it is. It'll match the bare aluminum head nicely. I think I'm gonna leave it alone. There we go. This side's gonna get ground down too to get nice and cleaned up. Ah, no, that's fine. Bracket is disassembled now. Hopefully I can put it back together the same way it was. These 2 tensioners are actually different from each other. I took photos when I took it apart, so I'll look at my phone later to make sure they're right. But hopefully I'll put it back together correctly. So I'm just gonna quickly grind this down, smooth up here a little bit better, and then we will blast in a blasting cabinet. And then I'm gonna also blast these washers underneath the bolts here to also paint those black. And then the bolts themselves will probably just kind of blast to make them look a little bit better. And then we'll put it back together. For anybody who's concerned, the header I painted with the ceramic coating. It's really high temp. It'll be great. And also the header is mild steel, and that's why I'm painting it. And the other parts I'm hitting with a primer that's also ceramic. It's a high temp engine paint. And then I'm gonna put some color on top of it here once it cures. I should have worn a respirator. Wear a respirator. Don't be like me in this situation. All right. All our parts here are painted. I also grabbed the infrared lamp. Because this is like a ceramic coated exhaust, you're supposed to cure it. Typically you would do that by idling the car in certain ways, or you can put it in an oven, or in this case, use a heat lamp. It wants 250 degrees for 30 minutes, so we're gonna let that cook. Studs are in, parts are painted, there's one more major part I want to paint on the engine, and well, it's the engine block itself. So we're gonna pull off the Boost Brothers Garage engine mounts here. I'll probably leave this plate on, just tape around it, water pump tape around, screw it, race car things. Knock sensor's gotta come off, and then we'll clean up the engine block and paint it its fancy new color.
Race car things, maybe we should replace the water pump.
Probably, actually. It's not leaking, though, so what's the point?
There's no coolant in it. There's nothing to leak out. It doesn't even look like a water pump.
It's weird because it's like external, but it's also part of the block. Because this is cast in right there.
Right,
It's cast around, but yeah, it like bolts in the front here.
This doesn't, I mean, it doesn't look like there's enough there to pump. That's crazy. I want to take it off just to see, but...
Don't touch it. It's
I'm
not leaking.
It can't leak. There's no coolant in it. What you doing, Ryan?
Tony, how's it feel to be behind the camera for once?
It's fine.
It's fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
I decided to take off this block here. It's just 2 bolts.
That you were adamant that you weren't going to take off and we were just going to tape off.
Yeah, I figured there'd be actually more work to tape off than take off. So.
Funny how that works.
This is the block here for the oil filter. This is part of the Boost Brothers kit. It's like a plate here that diverts a bunch of oil different places, and I think coolant too.
I was going to say, that looks like the oil filter
Yeah.
housing that probably has, coolant in it.
It does a lot of things. I'm gonna just tape this part right here. I'll put some flat tape across that, and it'll be a lot easier than masking this entire thing. Just gonna like leave the bolts in their holes.
Put them in those round holes right there.
Oh yeah! We have a new one of these, so I'm gonna leave this on to mask. A little bit of carb cleaner will make this better. I'm not trying to make this perfect. Again, it's a drift car, not a show car. This is gonna probably end up upside down in a ditch later. And if it doesn't end upside down in a ditch, then I'm not driving it hard enough.
Right.
What?
Hold on. We can buy a thermostat housing and thermostat for all of like 50 bucks, and I think that makes more sense than running a 15-year-old piece of plastic in a race car.
I mean, I'm fine with that. It's also like 2 bolts to take out, so
Yeah.
I'll pull it out then.
Yep, and you'll be able to paint better too. Bonus.
I use the exact same brand engine paint for the block for this white, and I'm gonna tell you what, guys, this white was super runny, like holy cow. And I sprayed it the same as I sprayed the black engine parts, and these black parts came out perfectly. They had great coverage, they were nice and thick paint, whereas the white was super runny. But I'm thinking the white engine block with black engine parts that are like satin and some other colors that will tie into the body color later. No, the body color is not gonna be white. We'll talk about that later. I think that this combo will look clean, even if the paint was a little bit runny. Not that you can see the runs from here, or you won't be able to see them also when the engine's installed and there's parts covering it. It's the idea of the engine block being white more so than the execution. You'll have that on these bigger jobs, okay? So anyway, while I wait for this part to show up so I can reassemble this side, it'll be here today. There's one more piece I want to make, and I need to make these EGR block-off plates. So there's a block-off plate that needs to go here, and there's one here because we're not using the EGR for this build. So I think we're gonna use the water jet for that. Try something here I never tried before. And of course, they both can't be the same size, so I gotta also get this one too. Well, something like that. Quick and dirty. While the water jet is running, I'm gonna work on getting the valve cover figured out. Currently, it's just sitting on top with no seal, so we're gonna pull it back off. I'm gonna clean it, we're gonna put the gasket in it and bolt it down permanently.
Let's go.
Much better. All nice and clean. Also, I love CNC machined billet parts. They're so nice. This is a custom valve cover that's low profile for a Porsche 944. Honestly, I don't even know if we fully need it for what we're doing, but it certainly looks really cool in the engine, and well, it's part of the kit. Our cut just finished, we'll see how it looks. Uh-oh. They fell into the abyss because I've been doing so many cuts. I need to replace my bed. They gave me a bunch of beds, I just haven't gotten a chance to change it out. Or the drive too, but look at that. Actually, scratch that, I gotta redo them. You'll notice there's some holes here. It's because my bed has holes in it. This fell down beneath the other cut and it was collateral damage. Dang it, what the heck, man? So I'll recut it quick, then paint it black, and then they'll go in the engine later. So many bolts.
Couple more than the Corolla valve cover.
Yeah, about 300 more. That's prepped, and that should help with below by a good bit. This direction to actually fit. Valve covers on, we got the PCV plate here as well. What's next is we're gonna flip the engine upside down because the oil pan is not correctly installed, and I'm gonna show you why. Go ahead, Tony, flip it. All by yourself.
It's easy, it's going this way.
Okay,
it's the other way that's hard.
So fun fact, the bell housing bolts also attach to the oil pan, and the only way we can fit in this engine stand is with those bell housing bolts. So I'm putting a jack down here to jack up on the valve cover. Super not sketchy. Tension so we can pull those bell housing bolts out to disconnect the oil pan. So I'm going to the center.
If this doesn't go well, it was Ryan's idea. If this does go well, I won't bring it up
Yeah,
again.
that's how that goes. I know how this goes.
All right, we're clear there.
Cool. The other fun thing of this whole setup is there's a chain ramp back here in the timing. I don't remember exactly where it is. It's on the back side of this, you can't see it. It has to be installed before you put the pan in, and if you mess it up, then, you know, you have problems.
The standard operating procedure would be to take all the timing stuff off to take this upper oil pan off, and we're desperately trying to avoid that.
Yeah, it's this whole timing plate back here, and pass. I know it can be done otherwise. So we're gonna try upside down first, the comfortable way, and if you need to use gravity or, you know, to help us, then we'll have to hang it from the hoist and do it later. But we'll try this first.
I mean, if we drop it down in there, we'll just turn it upside down and shake it.
like a guitar pick. Yeah. This is a modified stock oil pan from Boost Brothers. It changes the clearance to be able to fit around the cross member under the Porsche 944, which is why we're using it. You can see here, I mean, it's all welded up and stuff. We have just loosely bolted it on to be able to get the engine in the car to make sure it's in clearance. So now we're gonna take it all off. We're gonna clean out the oil pan. We're gonna RTV it all back together the way it's supposed to be and put on the new oil pickup as well. That's where the chain ramp goes, right here on some pins. So we'll slip it in there, but first, we're gonna clean up the gasket surface here. We're making good progress. Things are going pretty okay so far. Not to jinx myself. We're all cleaned up. This is the chain ramp right here, the guide. We're gonna have it sitting where it's supposed to be. We're gonna do a dry run first before we put RTV on and make sure that we can get this pan half on. And then if that goes well, then we'll seal this up. Yep, just like that. Look at that. Oh, wow. That went pretty well.
Well, we're not in there early.
All right.
Just have to do it exactly the same as when it was dry.
There we go. Good job. We'll seat her down.
There it is. Nice. Oh yeah. There you go.
This oil pan's got these nice baffles that flap. It'd be nice and handy. Got our new pickup in to relocate it, and sealant's on. So I'm gonna pop this bad boy on, then the pan will be done. Put the washer in the right direction. I hate when they're backwards.
Yeah, same.
Now it's time for the rest of the junk that we painted to go back on, along with some other new parts that we haven't talked about yet. I guess to start, we should put this seal back on first. Remember, kids, always lubricate your seals. The new water pump neck came in. We're only using part of it. The rest of it gets replaced with the 1.8T water pump. This is from the 2.5 liter we're currently working on, because this neck right here gets in the way of the intake manifold, I believe. So we're going to put this on, then take it apart and put the new parts on. There we go. So inside here is the thermostat. That's what we wanted to replace. So now we have a fresh thermostat in here, which will make me happy. Now, because we're putting a different neck on here, we have this billet adapter that came in the kit. That'll just pop on here. Original neck used to go this way. The new neck will go this way now. I think it's this way, actually. Stop making fun of the paint job. I know it's bad. Go. It's crazy to me how this engine mount is also mounted to the oil filter housing. And we gotta put this thing back together, so there we go. I'm gonna put it on the engine. I'll tell you what, that looks so much better, and it's the same brand engine paint that I used on the block, but black, and the black covered so much better. But whatever, you'll have on these bigger jobs. This engine's looking entirely different now. I got this brand new alternator, let's slap that on. I believe this goes right here. Zoom! Oh, and also, yeah, the neck does go this way because it goes up and around the alternator right there. So that's perfect. Look at that. Now, for the power steering pump. This is a brand new, I believe, 1.8T power steering pump. Because it's not from the 07K, I've got to use an adapter block here to bolt it in. So we're gonna do that now. Oh, baby, that looks beautiful. Lots of pulleys now. All right, now this can go back on. That side of the engine is now bolted up. There's belts that need to go on. We have lines to connect. There are a couple things I need to deal with, like the neck on the thermostat needs an O-ring. Didn't come with the neck for some reason, even though the picture online showed the O-ring with the neck. Barring a couple odds and ends that we can even do when it's in the car, this side's done. So now, we're gonna put the exhaust back on, and the turbo, and the engine mount here. Look at that. That fits great. Studs are a success, baby. I made sure I had some pretty good access here. I mean, look guys, straight shot through. We are just about ready to put this thing back in the car. However, due to the holiday week and some parts issues, we're not making it this week. So what's next is to take this engine and put it in, but before that, we actually need to paint the engine bay. So we'll dig into that the next Gia video and get this engine bolted in, and then work on some other running gear things we need to do to get this thing driving. We're like this close to driving this car. Okay, well, maybe not, maybe more like this close, but still, we're getting there. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, thank you for hanging in the shop with us.